Steven!
Yeah.
I think I know the answer to this already, but I'll ask it anyway, just for the audience. Were you a little distracted during the first half of that Lions-Vikings game with the details of the Fox Sports scandal?
A little bit. The Golden Globes, too.
Oh.
Yeah. We had the Golden Globes on the big screen. I had the football game on the little screen.
Gotcha.
To be honest, I'm nothing against Mike Tirico. I'm normally a Chris Collinsworth fan, but I just didn't need to hear Collinsworth Sunday night. I was good with just not hearing any of the audio. I was cool with just listening it, watching it with the sound off.
Well, at a certain point, you didn't hear the audio because the game was such a blowout.
Yes, this is true. But I'm sure after a while, oh, look at this Jared Goff and Sam Darnold, two guys who everyone had written off in the past. And now look at these two fighting for the 1 seed. What a night, Mike.
That's what he does.
Yeah. Yeah. So had Golden Globes on, and then the Fox Sports stuff. Couldn't help but read a portion of that 42-page report. Oh boy.
I didn't read the 42-page report, but
I read a portion of it. I'm not gonna act like I read the entire
thing. Exactly. That's like me saying I watched any of the Golden Globes last night. Like I saw Nikki Glazer do her thing with Timothy Chalamet, making it out like an Adam Sandler voice, like Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah,
that was pretty good with Adam Sandler going back with the Chalamet thing.
Yeah.
Saw Demi Moore. By the way, this is always a debate I have with people. Is it Demi Moore or Demi Moore?
I thought it was Demi Moore.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah. And because I know that from Friends.
Oh.
One of my favorite episodes is when Monica gets a haircut from Phoebe, and then Phoebe gives her this haircut, and she says, "You gave me a haircut that looks like Dudley Moore. I wanted Demi Moore."
Dudley Moore.
So there you
Arthur,
go.
Right?
Yes. Correct.
And I saw her acceptance speech. I was like, that's pretty good. And I've been meaning to watch The Substance, but I hear it's quite graphic.
I haven't seen any of these movies, dude. We haven't, they haven't publicized these ones as much as they used to.
Dude, in recent years with the Oscar movies, it's been very sad, depressing indie movies that just make you hate life.
Yeah.
The big one is The Brutalist, which is about I believe I actually can't say exactly what it's about. I want to say it's about concentration camps, but I could be totally wrong about that. So,
it's a sequel to The Pianist, Derek.
Oh, it is.
I'm just kidding. No,
yeah, I figured it's another Adrian Brody movie.
Yeah. But
didn't even see The Pianist.
They barely publicize it though. The
Pianist,
I know. Dude, don't. I watched that on my own in college. I don't know why I did that. It's
a little rough.
Yeah, I was in a depressing movie phase. Not depressing, I guess Holocaust movie phase. I watched Schindler's List, Boy in the Striped Pajamas, and then The Pianist, all in a very short time span. I don't know.
All right.
I don't know why I was into that.
Yeah, so that's a weird thing to enjoy, I guess.
I didn't enjoy it, but I felt like
that's not the way I'm hearing it, Stephen.
God, I loved it. I loved The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. God.
Yeah, I've only seen Schindler's List once, and that's all I need, really. But yeah, I need to bone up on my my Oscar movies, but that'll be after the NFL playoffs. Dude, although I've seen the list.
Yeah,
I've seen the list, and I'm like, well, they haven't been nominations or anything, but I'm interested in The Substance if that gets nominated, but everything else, I'm like, I don't really care.
Yeah, I mean, it all looks good. I like how there's original stuff, and we're kind of past the Marvel movie thing, even though Anthony Mackie had to bring it up just because Sebastian Stan won it for doing something different. It's like, God, why'd you have to bring up? No one cares about the Winter Soldier and Captain America anymore. I'm surprised they even having that movie. Harrison Ford's doing it for a money grab.
Whoa. Hold on, man. For what I've seen in the trailers it's a very, very special movie. Because in this movie, you see the Incredible Hulk, except he's not green. He's red.
And it's Harrison Ford. They already ruined that.
You didn't get my walk hard reference, huh?
No.
It's when Dewey Cox is doing his variety show. He's talking to his agent. And he's like, "Oh man, we're getting our ass kicked by the Incredible Hulk every night." And the guy's like, "Whoa, well, last night was a very good episode because last night it found out the Incredible Hulk has a twin brother and he's not green, he's red."
Walk Hard. I gotta watch that movie again because you
Oh,
referenced a lot since in this movie season because of A Complete Unknown, and that's it.
dude,
But-
I think you would laugh your ass off even more from watching
Oh.
A Complete Unknown. Haven't seen it yet, but the Bob Dylan sequence is amazing. I've never seen Walk the Line, but I'm sure I would love Walk Hard even more when I get all the Johnny Cash references.
I think Walk Hard is like a straight. Isn't that a straight parody of Walk the Line?
And Ray and The Doors and all
those.
biopics that were back in the day.
Yeah, Jack White played a great Elvis. I know that.
Oh, he was fantastic in that because two of those people are the king and one of them's me. No, it was
It's like not even
and
saying anything.
the best cameos were Jack Black, Paul Rudd, who's my guy?
Jason Schwartzman.
Jason Schwartzman, and who was the other guy from Accepted?
Was it Chris Parnell?
No,
Or-
not Chris Parnell.
Justin Long?
Justin Long, all playing the Beatles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great cameos.
Because we're the Beatles.
With the full Beatles. Do you remember when we played those shows in Hamburg? Of course I do. I booked them. I'm Paul McCartney, the leader of the Beatles.
Of course I booked them.
Highly recommend Walk Hard. It is maybe one of my favorite movies of all time. It's just ridiculous with the biopic parodies. But
I like the little one.
yeah. Oh, come on. What if you're famous? You can marry somebody else or get married when you're married at the same time. No, you can't, Dewey. It's a great movie. All right, before we get into actual sports and NFL stuff, just your opinion, man, by the way. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa. We're coming to you on a Monday. We're going to be on today, obviously, and we'll be on Thursday because got a little short show on Thursday because we're taking the Notre Dame Penn State playoff game on KMBR. So I get off early, and Steve and I will do a show Thursday.
We're watching the future Raiders quarterback,
Which one?
Drew Aller. Aller?
Aller. He's kind of like a repeat of Aiden O'Connell, my friend.
Well, they're saying that they could trade down and draft him. Aiden O'Connell's not that bad.
Oh,
He's
so you go from Jackson Durr to Drew Aller now, huh?
Look, Derek, I'm trying to be realistic here. All right. Besides, whatever. They got Antonio Pierce coming back next season, so it doesn't
We'll
matter.
see about that. We'll see about that one. I'm not convinced on that one yet. But before we get to actual meaningful sports,
Huh?
can we just comment on the whole Fox Sports thing? Because here's my take. Real
No,
quick. What do you mean no?
I don't want to comment on that. I'm gonna
I
pull.
am.
A Shannon Sharp. Ain't got nothing to do with me.
Ain't got nothing to do with me. But Stephen A. Smith just commented on, I saw on his podcast, and he was like, that's not the Skip Bayless that I know. The Skip Bayless I know is cheap as hell. He would never give up $1.5 million. Here's my thing. Skip Bayless, yeah, if he actually did that shit, that's disgusting. And the comment he made afterwards to the woman, ugh, like 1.5 million, like, dude.
Yep.
Gross. And I think that has been swept under the rug, and we all been focusing on this Joy Taylor and Emmanuel Acho thing, which, believe me, is juicy. But like in the grand scheme of things, Emmanuel Acho, in my opinion, did nothing wrong. He doesn't need to address anything. Joy Taylor in time, sure. I mean, it's a bad look when you say, like, I did this all on my own and I'm, you know, an empowered woman, everything. And then you supposedly slept with many people to get to your job at Fox. But if she did claim, or if she did tell this hairdresser at Fox that if something goes wrong in her pursuit of a career, and she's going to change the story where the Fox Sports guy sexually harassed her, then that's messed up. That's completely messed up.
Yeah.
But because there's a ton of stories out there where this stuff is true, and this kind of tarnishes that a little bit. Like, I don't know, Stephen, you and I have been with a lot of women in. No, I'm phrasing that poorly.
That's a lie.
you and I have worked with a lot of women in the sports industry, and they all have worked hard, and they've all done their own thing. And I just hate the stereotype of women that sleep their way to the top. So this is just a bad look on her part, but I
Yeah.
don't think she needs to address anything.
Well, I don't think she's advised to address anything. I don't know. I mean, it's like the show says, speak for yourself, man. You
Yeah.
know, that's
By the way,
what
I love that you said, we've been with a lot of women. You're like, that's a lie. I was like, yeah, I can't fight you on that one.
I mean, come on, man. Like, I'm like, what?
You take what you could get sometimes.
Yes. No. Well, that's what's. I don't know if like shocking is the right word, but it's just with those two. It feels like whenever they are giving their opinions and kind of giving sports takes, a lot of it is, I'm going to teach you something.
Yeah.
Like Emmanuel Acho, I'm going to teach you about life. I'm
Just
going
don't watch football. Learn it.
I'm going to try to teach you about life. Joy Taylor, a lot of it has been empowering women in sports, you know, and she, what she says is not wrong. When she says they got to put in, women have to put in twice the work so that they can get half the pay or whatever, half the careers that men get. What she's saying is absolutely true. But then when you read all this stuff, you're like, man, the hell?
Yeah, I know.
Were all those just empty words or what? It just felt, you know, now you're kind of looking back and it's a little fraudulent. And I can't lie, like the stuff that's going back on social media with, you know, like them two sharing a glass of wine. I think my favorite thing was I saw the meme of them two, like sharing a glass of wine on the couch, and then the caption was Shad Khan and Trent Baalke sitting in their headquarters together, just firing.
The best one I saw of that photo is someone's like, man, Emmanuel Watcher's not wearing socks in that photo. Man, he must have dived head first into that.
Dude, it's all too.
They're
much.
funny. I mean, it's harmless at the end of the day between Joy Taylor and Emmanuel Acho. That stuff is funny. Like him, like doing his usual like phone videos where it looks like he's literally outside of her apartment saying like, I love Joy Taylor. She's a good person to work with because you probably just got done having sex with her.
Yeah.
But whatever. I mean, at the end of the day, Joy Taylor's got to address the way that she looks now. But they don't need to say anything on their shows. Like, I think everybody was waiting today. Like, is Emmanuel Acho going to address the rumors on his show? Is Joy Taylor going to address the rumors on her show? Neither of them did. And it'll go away. Like, I don't know what the outcome of this lawsuit will be, but at the end of the day, like, if they just focus on the NFL playoffs, people will forget about this stuff.
Well, that's why. That's why. But at the same time, Jonah Hill, super bad. People don't forget.
Yep.
Dave Franco peeing in the bed when he was in first grade. People don't forget.
Yep, that's true. And I did find it incredibly awkward where on Joy Taylor's show, if you watch the clip, the opening segment, she's like, all right, guys, let's talk about the NFL playoffs. And it's Keyshawn Johnson and Paul Pierce and Michael Irvin just awkwardly walking around. For whatever reason, Keyshawn Johnson felt compelled to throw a pitch.
Was he throwing a pitch? I thought he was hitting a home run. He was throwing a pitch.
Either one. They were just like, what do we do with our hands? How do we act all natural with what the hell's going on today?
Oh, man. Yeah, that's the thing, is you just know that's just kind of boiling there and simmering there in the back of their minds.
Oh, yeah.
All this is going down, and they somehow got to do a sports show out of it on one of the more important days, too. I mean, it's the regular season finale. Got the postseason coming up. It's a big week in sports talk. This is when you're supposed to lead everything. You know, people don't want to watch the news during this time, most people. So they want to get their sports and get away from all things. Although this is privy to the social media community, right? Like, some people wouldn't know about it if they just don't happen to have an X account or a social media.
Yeah. And I will say the best positive out of this whole thing is that we did get a bunch of Emmanuel Acho tweets last night talking about football. That annoys the crap out of me.
Did we? We didn't, right?
We didn't. He didn't speak for, I don't think he's tweeted for a good deal of time.
He was doing a lot of deleting. That's what he was doing.
Yeah, I've noticed. By the way, I like how you said, today is a big important day. And I was like, you're a big Jan 6 guy, huh?
So, what do you think about the playoffs? Big weekend coming up, huh?
Oh, Steven, trying to cover up for his ways.
All right. Where were you on January 6th?
I was getting an iPhone. I remember it well.
Really?
I was at Best Buy getting an iPhone, and then as soon as I got my iPhone, my new one, my little brother texted me saying, "You see what's going on?" I'm like, "Nope." And then I went home and I was like, "Oh shit, this is nuts." By the way, Walter Iqbal Seta with a great comment here. Let's just say there's a reason I was able to host with Derek. Yeah, Walter slept with me. That's how I got him the spot.
Whoa. Whatever you guys do over there.
That's how things get done at KMBR. I'm kidding. All right. Let's talk about. We'll get to week 18 in the NFL, and by the way, because of that, my picks, I was absolutely slaughtered by Steven.
Yeah, you were.
So I'm gonna do the hot sauce. Got it right here,
Hmm.
and I'll leave it up to the people. Should I do carrot or should I do cheese stick?
Ooh. Carrot because of the ASMR effect, I'd say. You can
Okay.
really hear it in the mic.
Steven likes the way I crunch. All right, guys, let me know in the chat. Let me know if you want to see a little cheese stick action or a little carrot action. But before we get to that, let's talk about the news today.
Hang
far
on,
as
you bite into your cheese sticks, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you just bite straight into it. I remember I saw you doing that for the first time.
I don't break them apart. I don't do I don't do that. I munch them down.
Yep. That does not help your case of the accusations of being a serial killer brought on against you by me when you had just a shower curtain, one kitchen knife, a cup. I think you had a cup, right?
Yeah, not only that, you failed to mention that my shower curtain was had blood on it because I was shaving my head. Because I was shaving my head, people. So I was shaving my head. Anyway, moving on here.
You eat the cheese sticks right into it.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Anyway, so today on what we call Black Monday in the NFL, the day after the NFL season ends, head coaches get fired. And even before Black Monday hit, like less than an hour after the game ended, Gerard Mayo gets fired by the New England Patriots.
Yep.
And this is not so surprising because there were rumors about this. But after, Bill Belichick is let go after 24 seasons, and it was set up where Belichick, they knew it was going to be the last year of him coaching the team. They let Gerard Mayo know while he was still on staff that he was going to take over as head coach.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bad look. And Robert Kraft came out today and said, I take full responsibility for this. Gerard was not ready to be a head coach. And I was like, well, didn't you figure that out before? Like, what the hell's going on here? And everybody wants to have a Dan Campbell type, a leader of men that galvanize the locker room. But, some of these guys get out coached and out schemed, and let's see what happens to Dan Campbell when he doesn't have Ben Johnson around.
I think Gerard Mayo was meant to be more than that, though. He was meant to be more than that. Like they were building him up so that he could get into this role. And it was, I guess you'd consider it a failure. I don't know. I mean, what was
you have to.
What was the positive to come out of this year? Drake May looks like a legit starting quarterback. Actually looked like they got two really good ones in Joe Milton, who I think we're kind of overreacting to. But the Robert Kraft thing made me laugh. When I saw the quote, "This is the hardest decision that I've ever had to make." Like, not the one where you just fired your head coach that turned you into a dynasty, but the one that you just fired after a season because he got you 4 wins. That was the hardest decision that you ever had
probably
to make?
because it makes him look bad. Like the Belichick one, like after a while, like people were expecting that one. But like to go from Belichick to Gerard Mayo and be confident in that, and then a year later be like, no, this is the wrong move. Like, to me, they had to know this was going to be a bad team. I think they expected that. But I think it's also the way that he conducted himself, because the whole thing about Gerard Mayo was it was going to be an upgrade over Belichick in the media department, that he was going to be, more casual and outgoing with the media. But there were times where, like a couple weeks ago, for whatever reason, he says that Ramondre Stevenson's going to start or Antonio Gibson's going to start, whatever it was, and then he changed his mind and the other running back started, and then they asked him about it in the press conference, and he goes, yeah, just coaching decision. It didn't elaborate. And then, like, he called the team soft.
Yeah.
When, they're not going to be a very good team this year. And he may just not have, just because you're a former player doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a good head coach. Like, do I think Ray Lewis can galvanize a locker room? Absolutely. He could be a good linebacker coach. Do I think he could be a head coach in this league? Probably not. So just because you played and you can lead good locker room speeches doesn't mean that you should be a head coach. So, case in point, Antonio Pierce. He talks to the media today and wearing his Raider starter jacket, and kind of defiant towards the media when asked about his future with the team. He says, "I haven't told anything new. I haven't been. I have the full expectation I'm going to be here."
Mm.
And then when asked, "Are you going to make any coaching changes?" He goes, "Not at this moment. No, not going to make any coaching changes." All right. They had a 4-13 season. Not going to make one coaching change. The
Yeah.
entire staff's coming back. You're perfect with the way things ended. All right. If that's how you feel.
They're probably
think-
going to have to, too. Patrick Graham's a free agent. They're going to
Yes.
probably find a new defensive coordinator quick.
Yeah. So my whole thing is Antonio Pierce has I know people were like, well, that shit, if he's saying that he hasn't been told otherwise, then he's probably coming back. Not so fast, my friends. I think that Antonio Pierce hasn't been told jack shit about his future. I think that he's been left in the dark. That's kind of the way that I interpreted after they won that game. And they were asking about how do you tell the fans that you're not going to have the number one pick now? And he's like, go talk to Tom Telesco. It seems to me like he's not in the room with Mark Davis. So I'm sure that, they had the game yesterday. I don't know if he talked to Mark or anybody, but he went about his business. He did the press conference today. I don't think he's been given any assurances that he's coming back. He would have said, "Yeah, Mark and I had a conversation yesterday, and he told me that I'm going to be the head coach of this football team." Like, do you remember when Jack Del Rio had to tell the world he was fired?
Oh, I do. I was on my own. I was working the game.
Yep, you were running the board for me. Yeah, that was shocking. But
Yeah.
I didn't. I'm not
Back when you
anticipating
were my
Antonio.
boss. Get that sound, Steven. God, if I could tell myself something 8 years ago or whenever that was, just don't take this guy too seriously.
I'm glad you got the sound for me. Let's go, Steven. Make it snappy. Let's.
You know what, Derek? That's where we connected, man. Here's the thing.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Here's the thing. I get where you're coming from. And the thing is, I don't want to argue with you because I want you to be right. I really do.
But you think I'm wrong?
It feels like Antonio Pierce is sticking around. I'm not saying I'm not in that camp where it's like you have to fire him on that Monday just because this is an unwritten rule that NFL teams have. Once you're done in the regular season, you got to fire your coach as soon as possible so you can start a head coaching search. But I'm glad you mentioned Gerard Mayo at the beginning. Part of the reason why I think they fired him, pretty small part. I think a large chunk of it is because of what he did this season. But I think it's because they know they have a backup plan. And I think they know that they could potentially get Mike Vrabel. So I think they're putting all their eggs into the Vrabel basket. And I think the Raiders know that Vrabel is off the table, rhymed. And I don't know if they want anyone else. I don't see another head coach that can help you build this team from the ground up that's been made available. I like if they have a defensive coordinator opening, kind of like the way Steve Wilkes was fired from the 49ers. It's actually not similar, but I think that it was unwarranted to fire Lou Anarumo, like just out of the blue. I think that was a personnel thing for the Bengals, not so much an actual schematic thing.
Yeah.
So I think he'd make for a great DC. There's other guys out there, but as far as head coaches, like I don't know if there's anyone that can build it from the ground up. So I think they would have fired. Like I think anyone in his right mind would have put Antonio Pierce, on the free agent coaching block immediately. But also, Derek, here's one thing you're not taking into account. This is Mark Davis that we're talking about. Do we really expect him to make the right decision on anything?
No.
You know what I mean? Like this
But
is. Mark
I also
Davis
think
we're
he was
talking
hesitant. I think he also was hesitant to give him the job.
Sure.
He only did this because of public pressure from Max Crosby saying he was going to demand a trade if he wasn't named head coach.
Right.
And then the fans really wanted him. I think you're 100% spot on, Stephen, with this, because while I think that there hasn't been a final determination of his future, I think right now Mark and Tom Brady are on the phone with Mike Vrabel because he can interview with any team right now. He already interviewed with the Jets. So they're probably talking to Mike Vrabel, and they're like, do you want to come here, or do you really want to go to New England? And he's got a relationship with Robert Kraft way more than he has a relationship with Mark Davis. Tom Brady's there, but he's not the day in and day out owner. So is Vrabel going to get along with Mark Davis every day when Tom Brady's off calling games for Fox? which I still don't think makes sense.
Yep.
So yeah, I think right now, and we were talking about this last year. I think when Vrabel got fired, they didn't fire Belichick yet. So Vrabel got fired one day. Like, this is why I'm saying pump the brakes on Antonio Pierce coming back, because there was a weird time last year where every day someone new was getting fired. So like there was a few on Black Monday. I'm like, okay, that might be it. Then the next day, Mike Vrabel's fired. Like, oh shit, that came out of nowhere. The next day, Bill Belichick's fired. Oh damn, didn't see that. Pete Carroll got fired. Oh wow, what's going on here? So I would say it's not set in stone just yet that Antonio Pierce is coming back.
Right.
But I'm with you. It does make a lot of sense that initially we did not consider the Patriots of being a job opening because we just assumed they'll give Gerard Mayo more than 1 year.
Right.
But now when they fired Vrabel a year ago, Tennessee, I thought initially like, well, that's the perfect spot for the Patriots, for Vrabel and everything. Yeah. And at that point, Robert Kraft couldn't go back on his word. He, told Gerard Mayo he was going to be head coach of this football team next season. Yeah. So he gave it to him. But I'm sure he regretted the decision ever since.
Yeah.
I think it makes a lot more sense to have Mike Vrabel as your head coach. Also, Ben Johnson is going to interview with the Patriots. So at this point, it sounds like Ben Johnson's down with going to the Bears. Or not down, but he's willing to interview with the Bears and the Patriots. And those two situations are a lot better than the Raiders right now because you have no idea who your quarterback's going to be.
I think at the end of the day, it depends on whether he wants to work with Drake May or Caleb Williams. Like, take your pick. It seems like those two guys are pretty well set.
And the GM situation and owners and everything.
Right. Well, yeah, all of that. But I think ultimately it does come down to the quarterback and whether they can work with that quarterback, or maybe they just feel he feels like he can work with both. And I don't know. Maybe the Bears go ahead and hire Pete Carroll. I don't know. It looks like that's picking up a little bit more steam. Can you imagine Pete Carroll with both of his gloves? We see that video next year. Pete's back and he's doing like 5-step drops with both of those catching gloves that he wore during the Seahawks practice. Do you remember that?
Dude, how old's Pete? 74?
Yeah, he's up there.
Yeah, my man has always been, well, Seattle gets cold. He needs warmer conditions at this point in his life.
He needs warmer conditions.
He needs a
warmer climate.
Well, I remember one game. Do you remember a couple of years ago where he had like a shit ton of hand warmers on because he was so cold when he was coaching a game?
Yeah.
My man Pete, I mean, we'll talk about this more. The Jaguars opening up today. Doug Peterson fired and Trent Baalke coming back. I think that's a better position for him.
Yeah.
Like the Jaguars, they need a culture change.
For sure.
And I feel like with them bringing Trent Baalke back, you're going to have limitations on who wants that job.
For sure. Yeah. So, head coach, I think the reason they kept him is not only because he probably gets along really well with Shad Khan, but also, I mean, they did have I don't actually know what their other draft picks look like, but as far as I know, Brian Thomas Jr. was potentially the steal of the draft at wide receiver.
Yeah. I think that's why he ultimately kept his job, because he did draft well. Like, Trevor Lawrence is a slam dunk. He decided to go with Trayvon Walker over Aiden Hutchinson, and who's to say that's not going to pan out? But Brian Thomas Jr.
Aiden Hutchinson's a beast, so that was kind of a miss.
He is, but he's a different type of player.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that with the Jaguars, and I'm not surprised that Doug Peterson got fired. He threw Trevor Lawrence under the bus way too much this season. And Trevor Lawrence regressed. So, in my opinion, I wouldn't be surprised if you see a Pete Carroll or a John Gruden in Jacksonville, because those coaches are so desperate to get jobs again, they don't give a shit that Trent Baalke is their GM.
Yeah, and I think Gruden would love it in Jacksonville. But back to the Raiders too. We kind of got off that.
Yeah,
that was my fault. Antonio Pierce, the press conference. It's just. There's a couple of things to note. The first thing, he completely went back from his word on 2 weeks ago where they're asking about the draft. He basically says, talk to Tom, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then, he answers about the future with the positions, with the prospects, with the free agents. Well, me and Tom are going to sit down. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to figure this out. So that's completely changed. It did feel like at the time he knew that he was gone, and then maybe saved his job in these last couple of weeks. That's where I'm saying the confidence is
by
from.
winning games.
Yeah, dude. They beat Mac Jones and Spencer Rattler, Derek. This is what you need to compete with the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Broncos. However, there's another thing. I'm seeing a lot of the arguments on Raiders Reddit, on Twitter. There's people who are defending Antonio Pierce. There's others who really want him gone. And there's plenty of good reasons. Timeouts, the challenges, the decision making. But one thing that is sure to me after hearing that press conference is this man is still in the learning phase.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying that no NFL coach should get a head coaching job because they're still learning. You got to learn in the job. But the Raiders don't have any room to get a head coach who's still learning. Well, I got to learn whether to go with my gut or to make the decisions based by the book. Like what? How do you not know what to do with that? Know when you got to go with your gut, or know when you got to go by the numbers and go by the data, whatever. You can't be having a guy who's learning on the job when you're going up against seasoned veterans in Andy Reid, Jim Harbaugh, and Sean Payton, who are about as confident as any head coach in the league with what they want to do. I mean, Kyle Shanahan's right up there. So is Sean McVay. But you cannot have a guy who's still learning on the fly, and then by the end of the season, all right, cool, picked up 6 wins this year. Did you learn anything? Yeah, I learned about this, but I still want to improve on that. Like, I can't have that for another season, man. I don't think the Raiders can afford that for another season. Get someone who has experience, who knows what they're doing, and who can actually make decisions with conviction. Because my God, man.
I'm with you, and I wonder how they feel about the whole quarterback situation when it comes to the draft right now.
Oh, God. Oh, dude, hang on. Before we get to admitting that you were the one who decided on Gardner Minshew, man, if I was Mark Davis, I would have interrupted that press conference and said, you know what, we're actually going to be moving on. Thank you. We're going to be moving on with the new head coach.
I don't think Mark Davis was even at that press conference today.
I'm just saying that if he should have like Tom Brady on the Fox broadcast, they should have just beamed him up in the middle of the press conference like a hologram and said, you know what, we're done here, everyone. Vic, Tashawn, Hondo, Paul, you guys are done asking questions. All right. This is over. Antonio, bye-bye. Like that's a fireable offense.
It was bad. It would be hilarious.
I hate doing that. I hate being that's a fireable offense guy, but
no, I'm with you. I'm with you because it's not like Aidan O'Connell would have been that much better, but it was clear that Gardner Minshew was the wrong decision. But then again, he didn't pick him. Like they weren't planning on playing either of those guys. They really wanted to draft a QB.
He said he did.
Yeah, whatever. And wouldn't it be hilarious if Mark Davis, if he teleported like Tom Brady in that situation, that for whatever reason, that old photo of him as a bald man is true. So he just forgot to put his hairpiece on. So he's like, okay, that's it. You're out. Oh shit. I forgot to put my hair on. Yeah, I hear you on everything, Steven. I think they want Mike Vrabel. They're not going to get Ben Johnson. Like, you got to think about it too. Like, for these other head coaches, like, what's appealing? Like, the Patriots job's more appealing. The Bears job's more appealing. I don't know about Jets because you don't know what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. But the Jacksonville job's more appealing because of Trevor Lawrence. And I really hope, like, if they have a high opinion of Shedeur Sanders, which I think they do, and they got the number 1 pick, do you think that maybe they're more inclined to fire Antonio Pierce? Because right now they don't know, like, what the hell's going to happen. It's kind of the same deal as last year. Like, they're in a better position to draft a quarterback, but you're sitting at 5. And the only guys that I've heard about going in the first round are Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. But then again, that's up for debate now. So I don't know. I mean, my whole thing is they should fire him because it's clear to me that he is just not ready. Like the same thing as Gerard Mayo. He doesn't know what to do as a head coach yet. He's feeling things out. He goes by feel. He kicks 58-yard field goals to win games. They had to have team meetings this year because he wasn't properly preparing the team. He fought with Devontae Adams. I don't know. I just, and he comes across so arrogant too in his press conference. He was like, like, I know what I'm doing. I'm the head coach of the Raiders. And it's like, dude, I understand that Kyle Shanahan comes across as arrogant sometimes, but he definitely has earned that right. So for Antonio Pierce, I don't know. Like, he just rubs me the wrong way. You might be right. You might have hit the nail on the head there, where they want Mike Vrabel, but Mike's telling them, like, if the Patriots offer me the job, I'm going to New England.
Well, it looks like we got a couple of new users.
We do.
Pig 76, JPJ, the Center's high school teammate, talking about Jackson Dart. Yep.
Yeah.
Pig 76.
Not a bad option.
Welcome to the program, my friend. That was the thing. I brought that up a couple of podcasts ago, a couple episodes ago. Yeah, we brought that up, wondering if Jackson Dart would be an option. I don't know. I'm still not entirely sold on Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, because it's just, they might be good in the future, but it feels like they need I don't know. It feels like we're always anointing these guys as win now quarterbacks. They're going to get you wins now, when in reality they need some time to develop. And I think that's true with any rookie quarterback. So I don't think you need to get Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders to feel good. I do think you need a rookie quarterback at least. But the other thing with Antonio Pierce, though, you're saying that he kind of rubs you the wrong way with the way he talks. I kind of get it. I could understand if he manages to talk his way into these things. Like, if he may seem in over his head when he's coaching, but I can guarantee you he has this way with words that really, he understands the language of football people and knows what they want to hear. They want him to be very direct. They want him to be direct. What the hell's that? They want him to be direct. They like how he speaks the language of football players. There's some guys that just don't connect. I think he really connects on a personal level. I think that's why that he's still got a job in the first place. And I think that's why he managed to keep his job going into this season and potentially into next season. Derek M. Who's this guy's coming in with hot takes. Vrabel was trash as a head coach before. The Patriot coaching tree has failed everywhere.
He wasn't on the Patriots coaching staff. He was not a part of that.
No coach could have won with AOC or Minshew. Telesco picked a trash quarterback in Minshew and let Josh Jacobs walk in favor of a garbage running back by committee.
You're not wrong, but can you really come away?
Judge Telesco on that? I've as far as Telesco is the least of their problems, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Telesco yet, but I will say, did you come away thinking that Antonio Pierce did anything great as a coach this season? And also, the problem is, let's be real, he's going up against 3 better coaches in his division every year. He went 0-6 against all of them this year. So if everyone's waiting for the Chiefs and the Chargers and Broncos to get worse, I don't see it happening anytime soon. So it just feels like if they bring back Antonio Pierce and they're waving the white flag on another season to me, it feels like they're just, okay, well, we got to build it up again. It almost feels like they're doing the Gerard Mayo thing this season. So the goal would be get the quarterback and then go with the flow of having a coach that's, a good leader of men. We'll probably kick him in the ass his first rookie year. And then when that quarterback shows some promise, then you upgrade, and then you get the real coach. That's what happened with Matt Nagy. That's what happened with Gerard Mayo this year. That's what it feels like they're kind of doing with Antonio Pierce right now, where, all right, he's the coach for when the team is bad. But when we show some promise and we really want full expectations here, then we'll upgrade and get a better coach. Because it feels like some of these coaches are picking and choosing, like, I don't want to be the Raiders head coach right now. Like, Ben Johnson makes no sense to go to the Raiders. Makes no sense. Other guys, Bobby Slowick or Joe Brady or any of these promising young offensive minds, makes no sense. They don't have no idea who the quarterback is. So, yeah, maybe you are right, Steven. Maybe it's Mike Vrabel or nothing, and Mike Vrabel is probably more inclined to go with Robert Kraft than Mark Davis.
I think worst case scenario, Antonio Pierce sticks around, and you're going to be hearing "sell the team" chants at Allegiant Stadium, because we're going to start learning that the problem is from the very top. It starts with Mark Davis and all these decisions. And who knows with Tom Brady what his role actually is. We've heard reports, but we haven't heard him talk about much about it because he's been too busy broadcasting, talking about how they need to get a lot of sacks. Sam Darnold's been taking a lot of sacks.
Yeah.
You're going to hear that in the Super Bowl, Derek.
Yeah, I know. Well, maybe not the Sam Darnold part, but I hear you. The socks.
The sacks.
The socks.
Look, man, if you want to, if people want to let him stick around with a better roster, and you think that's what Antonio Pierce needs, then good luck to you. I disagree, and I don't think we're in for that sort of thing. Look, dude, when you see these guys as head coaches, you kind of know what they are. You know what I mean? Like, how much better is he going to get? Let's look at Matt Eberflus. Got a significantly better roster, a number 1 overall pick who is a generational talent, DJ Moore.
And a makeover.
He had better hair. He had a new beard. And then what do you know?
Maybe that's what Antonio Pierce needs. Hair.
I don't think so. If you're asking me what he did well this season, had some pretty sweet jackets. That starter jacket he wore to close out the presser, I want one. Not gonna lie, I want one.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's not bad. I hear you on everything.
What, the jackets?
Well, yeah, that too.
Yeah, they're sick. That's objective. They're awesome.
Of course. We're getting a lot of Raider fans in the chat tonight that are supporting keeping Antonio Pierce.
Suck on that, AJ Cruz.
Yeah,
there's only no Raider fans in the chat. We're all Niner fans. Well, look what happens when we go back to Elon tonight.
Here comes Cookie. All right, to 702 Gambler, to Pigs 76. Let me ask you guys, if you want to respond in the chat here, what do you like about Antonio Pierce? Do you like him just because he embodies the Raider mentality? He screams Raiders after victories. He smokes cigars after wins. What does he actually bring to the table? I'm curious. Like, do you like him just because the players play hard for him? Like, do you honestly think he compete with the likes of Andy Reid and Jim Harbaugh and Sean Payton? Like, I'm just curious because I think this is a nice move that they did after they went on a win streak 2 seasons ago when they beat the Chiefs on Christmas Day. But has it given me any confidence that this guy's going to win a Super Bowl? No. So is this just a coach for here and now, and then eventually you get better? And let me see what these guys are saying. Raiders play hard. Hold on. Raiders play hard under Pierce. They never give up. And if you have no QB, you have no choice. He didn't get a chance to draft a QB. Okay. And then from Pigs 76. He has supported the players. They don't win with a great coach until they build up talent. I hear you on all that. I totally understand that. But I don't know. Then, so what happens next year? Then if it's just a repeat of this season, then they're not moving in the right direction.
I need more than that. I need more than they play hard.
I'm with you on that.
I need more than he motivates the players. Because it's, again, look at the other guys in the division. Look at those other coaches. Like, you got to do something. Like, if the division was a little more wide open, and say you're playing in like an NFC South, then maybe I'd be, you know what, give him a chance. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. It feels like you're just kind of giving them a year to slowly develop, whereas we've seen where a good coach comes in with a good quarterback, a proven coach, and they turn everything around, a la Dan Quinn and Jaden Daniels. I need more than just he motivates the players. That's great. That's great that they're all buying in and they're playing hard for him. But I'm just not seeing a team that can compete with the likes of the Chiefs, Chargers, and the Denver Broncos. And Bo Nix looked, I mean, I don't think I was as wrong about anybody as I was about Bo Nix this year. Dude was incredible. Like that play the last week, I wasn't even watching it with the sound on, so I didn't even like know what was going on.
The Bengals game?
The Bengals, or not the Bengals game, the final Chiefs game of the season. Yeah, against the Chiefs, when they were actually still broadcasting it. But that play he had, where he finds a hole, he runs, and somehow he flips it to, I think it was Javonte Williams. I'm like, God damn, this guy's, he's the real deal.
Yeah. So Yeah, I know, and that's the hard part for Raider fans, where they're like, okay, are you guys willing to accept that next season it's going to be a repeat of, all right, well, the Raiders are fourth in the division again, and they're miles and miles, away from the likes of the Chiefs, Chargers, and Broncos. And to me, like, that's just unacceptable. But I understand that it takes baby steps to build a new, mentality and regime and everything. So my thing is, if they bring back Antonio Pierce, then he has to nail the offensive coordinator hire. It can't be a repeat of last year. The problem was they had Cliff Kingsbury. They probably sold him on, we're going to do everything we can to get Jaden Daniels. And then the Commanders called him and said, we're going to draft Jaden Daniels. So when you're sitting at 5, how appealing is it to a offensive coordinator when you don't know who your quarterback is going to be? So they get Luke Getsy, and that was just to make Davante Adams happy. I don't know what his options are. Antonio Pierce doesn't really know a lot of offensive masterminds. So who should be his offensive coordinator? He's got to nail that. And then he can't be like, what rubbed me the wrong way with him was he started throwing shit at Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And some Raider fans will be like, I love that. Yeah, fuck the Chiefs. Well, you know what? They're about to win 3 fucking Super Bowls. The Raiders haven't done jack shit in years. So maybe just learn how to beat them once instead of just acting like you have the Mahomes rules. So
the Turners, those are your offensive coordinators, Derek. Scott and Norv.
If that's the case, well, they got to upgrade too on the quarterback. It can't be just Aiden O'Connell again. And they got to upgrade at the running back. There's so many holes. That's why ultimately, now that I'm talking about it out loud, they probably are going to bring Antonio Pierce back because there's so much shit they have to do with this roster. So how is it appealing to another coach?
Not even not any master chef or anything for Tacky tonight. He's just like, you guys are talking too much Raiders. I'm out. Have a great
Give
night.
it time, Tacky. We'll get to the Niners in a second.
See you later. See you later, Tacky. And
he's mad because they don't acknowledge him in the chat when I'm doing the KNBR show. It's hard, Tacky. It's hard.
Just to bring in the new kind of people up to speed here. 702 Gambler and Pig 76. Like, as far as the roster and stuff, Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah.
I do think they have a lot of players that can be very good in the NFL, but I also think they need a lot of number ones. Like Alexander Mattison and Amir Abdullah can't be your number 1 and number 2 running back and interchangeable guys. Maybe Amir Abdullah, he showed me something towards the end of the season where he could be a second or third guy. They clearly need a number 1 running back when the running back is kind of making a comeback now with how important they are to certain offenses. Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon, and all those guys.
Yeah.
Jakobi Meyers is awesome, but they need someone who's a bona fide number 1. Jakobi Meyers is a great number 2 receiver, a great number 2, but they need someone who's going to replace Davante Adams. And I don't think I know Brock Bowers is going to be their number 1 pass catcher, but I still want a number 1 receiver, or at least another guy who could be considered like a number 2, but a top number 2, a really good one, like another Jakobi Meyers. They do need another one there. I know that they had some problems on the defensive line. Malcolm Kuntz getting hurt for the season sucked. Christian Wilkins obviously was terrible. Robert Spillane needs some help at linebacker. I don't know if Divine Diablo is the answer. And at cornerback, I mean, their secondary is not too bad, but look what happened with Amik Robertson, man. Damn.
Yeah.
Like, you see this? He's like the star of the Lions right now. It's just
Alex Anzalone, but yeah, Amik Robertson shut down Justin Jefferson for the most part.
Well, it was the post game stuff I'm talking about, Derek.
What did he do?
When he dropped bars, bro.
Oh, the in the locker room where he was like, something about the dirt.
Oh my God, they tried to bury me, but they can't bury me because I was raised in the fucking dirt. Oh God,
yeah,
sick. But anyway,
it's a nice line.
They got players, but they need a lot more. And I just think that a coaching change is needed. And I think, I don't know if it was Pigs or 702 Gambler, but they said who besides Mike Vrabel is going to be your guy. I don't know. That's the problem. That's also a problem with that is I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. Like, we were all set on Mike Vrabel because of the Brady-Vrabel connection. But as we're talking about this out loud now, it sounds like Vrabel to the Patriots might be what's happening here. Unless they hire Ben Johnson. And Ben Johnson could think that the Patriots job is way better than the Bears job because he thinks more of Drake May than Caleb Williams. Who's to say? But I understand that it looks like Antonio Pierce got a raw deal, didn't get a good roster. He didn't get the quarterback. He also needs to show that he can coach a little bit, and I'm skeptical of that right now. Just because you play hard for a guy doesn't mean shit to me. So, yeah, if they're not going to get Mike Vrabel, then I really don't know who else they could get. I don't know who else would be good for the situation they're in right now.
I got one guy who's up there, man. Doing a lot of stuff with Dave Portnoy. He's a real football guy.
Honestly, I would take Gruden over Antonio Pierce right now. 100%.
I think I would too.
Exactly. So in the end,
wow.
In the end, we'll see what happens.
Hired Football Coaches Association, man. I got to burn down that building. Now the Hired Football Coaches Association. Oy.
Yeah. So in the end, once we get a little press release or tweet from Mark Davis saying Antonio Pierce is coming back as head coach of the Raiders, I'm not necessarily going to believe that. We'll see what happens. And yeah, like every owner was doing that yesterday. Like there was a press release on Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer coming back for the Dolphins. Jim Irsay released one for Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard. The Giants released one from Brian Dable and Joe Shane, which I'm not surprised about. Like at first it was what Diana Rossini said on Saturday about how she thought that Brian Dable was going to get fired and Joe Shane was going to be retained. And I'm like, you can't do that. Joe Shane looks like the idiot in all this situation, but now they're bringing back both guys, which, okay, I'm cool with that. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I will not be the least bit surprised at this moment if they fire Antonio Pierce tomorrow or if they bring him back. But yeah, you're probably right, Steven, that the Gerard Mayo firing and Mike Vrabel's connection to the Patriots is probably what threw a wrench at this whole thing.
I think so. Just like the Falcons trading up to get Michael Penix. I was totally sold on that last year, thinking they were going to get him. I thought he was going to drop down to him.
And I will say this to Raider fans. If you think that they're going to win with just getting a quick fix at quarterback, whoever it may be, if it's let's go sign Kirk Cousins or let's go get another veteran guy, that can't happen this year. And you can't play with Aiden O'Connell. You need to draft a quarterback. I think everyone should agree with me on that one. Like, it depends on who's available, and you have to be smart about it. Rodgers, stop it. Pigs 76. Stop this. Stop this.
Did you see him make a pretty funny Tropic Thunder reference?
Yes. And we'll get to that in a little.
It was a good one. I can play it right now.
Yes. Okay. So, yeah, the Raider talk, we'll see what happens. Now you guys are talking me into the fact that maybe Antonio Pierce is going to stay, and I wouldn't be for it, but it seems most likely at this time.
Could be.
All right. Rodgers yesterday. That may have been his last game ever. And you know what? I know people don't like him right now. I've always liked the player, Aaron Rodgers. I don't need to watch Enigma and all that shit. But to go out with 4 touchdown passes and get in the 500 club, that's awesome. And the way he was kind of hugging everybody on the sideline and telling, what's her name, Pam Oliver, that he loves her. He was kind of reflective a little bit. So I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if Aaron Rodgers did decide to retire. I will say, the man loves his movie references. That's why him and Nathaniel Hackett got along and did the whole Gold Zone thing because a Gold member. So I will say, when I saw this in the postgame, I laughed because it was a good, solid reference.
They're going to make.
Aaron, Ian Rappaport said this morning, people close to him, I know, are preparing for the fact that this could be, in fact, be his last game in the NFL. What is your reaction to that?
People said they were close to me?
Yeah, people that Ian talked to, yeah.
Yeah, man,
Not bad at all.
That was great. The reporter didn't know what he was doing there.
He had no idea what he was talking about because it works on so many levels because he's acknowledging that he's a closed-off individual and kind of an asshole. At the same time, he's just making a classic Tropic Thunder reference.
Yes. Aaron Rodgers has dug himself a very deep hole. I think anyone who listens to this knows I was a huge fan of him, but I also think he really started to kind of get full of himself because it became just, hey, I know more than you. Like all of you are inferior. It felt like that, at least whenever he was talking. Look, man, if Aaron Rodgers landed in Vegas with what they were working with at quarterback now, I wouldn't be that pissed at it. And it's Aaron Rodgers. I know he's past everything. I know he's past his prime. I know that he's probably heading towards retirement, especially after this coming season. But I don't know. I feel a lot better about that than I would feeling with, Gardner Minshew and Dayton O'Connell at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, but no, not at this point. Like
Yeah.
the Raiders don't need that. They don't need a 40-year-old quarterback. They need a 22-year-old quarterback that's going to compete with Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes and Bo Nix. And 702 Gambler, you're making me laugh here. We'll take Rodgers and Devontae in Vegas. Draft Tyler Warren. Good luck stopping that, Spags. Please, what are you talking about, dude?
Boy.
What are you talking like? Devontae is going to come back, and now you're going to have a high-flying offense against the Chiefs? Stop, please.
Mm.
Anyway, all right. I'm going to eat. So what do you decide? Carrot or cheese stick here, everybody? Carrot. All right.
We're going,
I'll use this. I'll use the cheese stick to get the heat off.
we're going carrot.
All right. 49ers. They end the season going 6-11. Yesterday's game, Juwan Jennings needs to chill out on blocking a little bit. I mean, like, still be physical and everything, but like they're going to bait you into doing that. So he needs to be a little smarter when Sean Bunting Murphy baits him into blocking him too hard. But by all means, be physical like Hines Ward. Just don't be too physical where you're getting thrown out of games. Jake Mooney misses. Yeah, he's definitely got the Vanderjack yips. He needs competition, but I wouldn't cut him right away. What is interesting to me was Clay Kubiak called plays. And
Why?
nobody. Why? I'll tell you why. Because nobody has called plays during Kyle Shanahan's tenure as head coach of the 49ers.
Right.
So to me, everyone's talking about, well, Kyle needs an offensive coordinator. Kyle needs an offensive coordinator. I think you're going to see Clay Kubiak get the title of being offensive coordinator this upcoming season. Because that way that prevents him from going to another team and getting that role. It doesn't mean he's calling plays. It just means that Kyle trusts him enough where he can help him out with the offense. Same kind of deal where Mike McDaniel was getting poached by other teams, and Kyle gave him that title so no one could go after him. So it's not a lateral move for him. I think that happens. But yeah, let's be real. The season was a total failure. It was a disappointment. Everybody wanted them to win the championship after being on the doorstep for a Super Bowl. The whole goal was to go back and win it this year, and they failed at that. And their window is closing. I think that everybody kind of feels that a little bit. So I don't know how much changes are going to make this offseason. I think they're going to change everything in the trenches with defensive line and offensive line. But what I didn't think they were going to fire Nick Sorensen. I thought they'd give him another chance. And from what Matt Mayoko told me and Copes about a couple hours ago, he thinks they're going to fire him.
Really?
And he thinks they're going to fire Brian Schneider as well. So that's not a surprise. The special teams was horrible all season. But yeah, given the names that are out there, obviously Robert Saleh, but you and I talked about it. I don't think that'd be a good move for Robert Saleh. I think he should go to the Cincinnati Bengals now that Lou Anarumo was let go. I think Lou Anarumo should be DC of the Niners. I think that'd be a perfect move. Or Jeff Ulbrich or Gus Bradley or anybody else I can't think of at the top of my head right now. But there are options for this Niner football team to get better with a new defensive coordinator.
If I had to guess one, it'd be Jeff Ulbrich. If I had to guess one, because we know how much Shanahan loves his guys, and Jeff Ulbrich was his guy. Like before the Jets got him, Shanahan mentioned that I wanted Ulbrich. He's a former Niner. I don't know. It's almost too perfect of a fit. It's interesting that they are going to fire him though, because again, that admits failure on the defensive side. They do need a lot of help. I think, what I came away with after this one, there's not much with the future of the team as far as, Brock Purdy, what they're going to pay him. It's pretty clear what needs what they need to add in the offseason. But one thing I didn't really think about would Kyle Juszczyk not be on this team? What does the run game look like then? I think that's an underrated aspect of it. I know it may not seem like much. It's like a fullback, but I think Kyle Juszczyk has been probably the most underrated player. And I don't know if it's underrated because he's been on the team for so long now that he has like this really specific section of the fan base. But I just think he does things that people don't understand. Like I think Kyle Shanahan even tried to explain that when it comes to Kittle, talking about your dad or talking with your dad, and how important he is in the run game, and like people don't even notice like what he does, even though it feels like they do. I don't know if that's Kyle Shanahan undermining the fans or what, but if Kyle Juszczyk's not on the team, I just wonder what that run game would look like. I think that was like my biggest question today out of all of them, which is a really weird thing to ask. It's like, what the hell's the run game going to look like without a fullback? How full of myself am I for that?
No,
one?
but I mean that is important. Kyle Juszczyk's always been there.
Yeah.
So now they've had other fullbacks like, well, not the Niners, but who was it? Ovi Mahaley or whoever his name was with the fullback with the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know why I remember that off the top of my head.
Nice.
But yeah, I think Kyle will find another fullback.
Maybe.
But a lot of offenses don't use fullbacks anymore.
Right.
And maybe they ask Kyle Juszczyk to take a pay cut at this point again. And it's a dying breed. So Kyle could either get cut or make less money somewhere else.
Or
that's
he
a
just
name-
sticks with the team next year and they don't do anything and they just keep him around. And that question that I just asked is a moot point because
No,
well,
I don't
they're just
think
keeping
that's crazy. I don't think that's crazy at all because we were talking about the guys that have big cap hits this year. The biggest one is Fred Warner. You're going to bring him back.
Yeah.
George Kittle. Yeah, I'm assuming you're bringing him back.
you have to.
But maybe, you try to, get him to take a pay cut, or reduce his salary by giving him an extension. I think Debo's gone. I really do think that. I'm trying to think of other guys. Like, I think Talanoa Hufunga's gone. I think that Treverius Ward was very honest today. Very honest about how he's got PTSD from his child passing away and living in California while his family's in Texas. It just doesn't make a lot of sense for him to be here anymore, which kind of sounds like he wants to be a Houston Texan with was he with D'Amico at all? Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
So that could be an option for him.
Oh, that was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
That was heartbreaking. Hey, going back on Kittle, I don't mean to pass up on this. Did you have any more thoughts on Treverius Ward? I know it's pretty.
No. No. I'm just saying, like, I don't expect him back. I just think that they're gonna have to make some changes here or there.
Right.
But not anything drastic. The biggest name probably is Debo. And then they think they can run it back with everybody else, and they need to draft better and get better coaches. So I hear you on Jeff Ulbrich. I don't think Kyle knows him particularly well. It might be like he was with Robert Saleh in Seattle.
Brother, he calls him Brick.
So he knows him?
He doesn't call him Jeff. He calls him Brick.
So I wonder where they coached together then. Atlanta?
Yes.
Yeah. Ulbrich was in Atlanta. Okay, then he knows. Then he probably, because he knows Jeff Ulbrich, that's probably where he's going.
What do you think of him getting the
Lou-
Jets head coaching job, Kyle? Oh, Brick? Oh, I knew Brick back and stuff. Oh, Brick. Yeah, Brick.
But I think people have been throwing Gus Bradley's name out there because he kind of runs the same scheme in Seattle that Robert Saleh was doing.
Yeah.
But then Ulbrich, he knows Saleh. So, yeah, you know what? Ulbrich makes sense. Lou Anarumo, anybody that picks him up as defensive coordinator, I know I threw that name out there on the show today. And Copes was like, so what? So what? It was like Mahomes didn't have that much of, like, he still had pretty good games against him. I'm like, yeah, but he fucked with Mahomes in that AFC Championship game. They won like 3 straight games because Burrow was a big part of that, but Anarumo did a fantastic job, calling those plays defensively. So, yeah, I think that any one of those guys would be an upgrade over their given situation with Nick Sorensen.
Otis Bird. JT the Brick?
A little spade brick.
Jeff Ulbrich. I just looked it up.
All right, I'm going to eat this carrot.
His middle name is Wade. J-Dub the Brick. J-Dub the Brick. His middle name's Wade. Did you not hear me, Derek? Oh.
Oh, mama.
That was a lot of sauce for just a little carrot. All
You
right.
You all right?
That was a lot. Oh, shit. So, yeah. You probably will see the Niners change defensive coordinators this week. Sounds like Kyle and John will address the team on Thursday or Friday. The media, I should say. This is the first time I'm having tears.
Ladies and gentlemen, Trent Baalke. Can you say, you got to Google it? Come on.
You gotta Google it sometimes. Me and Shad Khan will come up with the best head coach on this football team. Excuse me. I just farted during my press conference. Who? Yeah, they got me. That one got me.
Jeez. All right.
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh,
they got this cheese stick.
One thing I wanted to bring up. Now that I thought about this morning as well. I don't know if I've seen George Kittle like as dominant as he was. I mean, he had the numbers in 2018 and 2019, but dude, this year, every single time he got his hands on the football, it felt like he was just as powerful as he was before. We know what he can do. Never forget what he did against the Saints. There's not going to be a run that tops that. Like that was his magnum opus. That was Marshawn Lynch, Beastquake type of stuff, right? Especially with what was at stake. But God, he really did look like a man amongst boys this year, more than years past. And I think years past because he was, hampered by injury. And I also think at the same time, that's kind of the concern. Like last year, not this season, but last season, they got a fully healthy Christian McCaffrey. And we all know that he's dealt with some injuries in the past. And then look what happened. Didn't play. Barely played. And with Kittle, you got a mostly healthy season with him too. And it's just like, damn, the one great season that he had, you just hope that they didn't really waste it on just getting 6 wins in a year. You know what I mean? Like
one of Kittle's best seasons.
That's the bittersweet way to look at it is like, yeah, like they only got 6 wins out of it, even though he was just absolutely dominant, fully healthy on the field. And I'm kind of like concerned going into next year. Well, what if they're not so lucky when it comes to injuries? Because every team needs a little bit of luck when it comes to injuries to their stars, when it comes to health to their stars. And, sometimes it's clicking all at once. And I think that's what's kind of helped the Chiefs is it feels like a lot of their superstars have all been healthy, at most times whenever they've won the Super Bowl. They've always won that war of attrition. And it felt like they won it with George Kittle this year, but I'm just like concerned that it's not going to be the same next year.
Well, as he gets older, yeah, that's going to be.
I mean, it's a concern with any. It's a concern with any player. I understand all of that. It's just it's really, I'm kind of bringing up something that probably is going to have no point next year. But it's one of those things where like, damn, he was so good this year. You hope you can get the same production out of him next year if he's fully healthy again.
Well, he had to step up because everybody was injured. I mean, Ben Ayuk tore his ACL. Debo was going to be a red zone threat. He was the guy in the red zone catching all the touchdowns. So
yeah,
it's a matter of, I think now that should probably be where George Kittle is like, I want a contract extension.
Right.
So we'll see about that. But yeah, I mean, what was interesting today was, I guess Nick Bosa told the media, it's hard when you have a season like this. So what you put on tape, you have to face your teammates in this situation after going 6-11. And Kittle had the complete opposite thought where he was like, I did what I had to do. I went out there, performed well, and I could look at my teammates in the face knowing that I did what I was, what I set out to do this season. It was a hard season. It was tough. We only won 6 games, but I went out there and, worked my ass off. So it wasn't like him calling out Bosa. I think it was just like him kind of saying a little bit, I'm more of a leader than you. Like, regardless of what happens this season, I'm willing to look my teammates in the face, knowing that I did the most I could do possible.
Well, I think you're also looking at 2 guys who had different seasons, though. Like,
Yeah.
sure, Bosa reached the Pro Bowl and all that, but what did he get? 9 sacks this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, 9 sacks total. I mean, he had 19 before. Like,
He was hurt though. I mean, like let's
Sure.
not totally forget that he had the abdominal injury.
Oh, for sure. We can't.
Or oblique,
That
whatever it was.
The oblique. That was a big thing. He said he was in more pain than he's ever been in.
Yeah.
But either way, I think he sets pretty high standards for himself. And big day today for him. But it was, but I don't know. I didn't really take that as George calling him out or anything, because he just doesn't. He doesn't strike me as the type that's going to call out a teammate like that. He even had Jake Moody's back throughout.
Yeah, I don't think he was calling out Bosa. I think it was just like he's Mr. Positive, and Bosa was just kind of a little more negative.
Well, you kind of need that, right? You need that one guy.
Yeah.
Kittle's great, man. Kittle's awesome.
No, that's why I think he'll be on the football team going forward. But he does make some money, and we'll see what happens with Brock Purdy. He acknowledged that he wants this contract done sooner than later, and I don't think that will be a thing this offseason. I know we've had every year Bosa, Debo, Ayuk. They're going to nip that in the bud, I think, pretty quickly. Like, Purdy was eligible to get his contract today. I think they'll figure that out pretty soon. They don't want quarterbacks holding out during training camp.
No, until his agent says, "Hey, man, you can get more out of this," and then they start negotiating. If it was Brock Purdy's decision, sure. I'm not going to believe that. This is the 49ers that we're talking about.
Yeah, you think that they're going to go to training camp and not have a deal done?
Oh no, I think they will. I just think it's going to last a little bit longer than we think. I think everyone just assumes it's going to get done in the next few weeks.
I think they need to know that for what they do this offseason. So I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if when free agency starts, you see him get a deal.
That could happen.
Yeah.
But also, you got to get that deal done just so you know where you stand in terms of your roster.
Exactly. So that's why I think they get it done sooner than later.
Yeah. And it's not the same as it was with Debo or Bosa. I don't know what took so long on the Bosa negotiations. Like, that was a done deal. I don't know why that took so long.
Because they knew that they didn't want to make Bosa the highest paid defensive player in all of football.
Did they not?
They did.
Well, I mean, did they not want to?
I don't think they did.
After the season that he had?
It's tough, man. It's tough.
I don't know.
And it may not be just that, like, we always focus on the AAV, but there's little stipulations in a contract that these agents look over. Like, right now, Jamar Chase could have been the highest paid wide receiver in football, but he chose not to sign because there was one thing in the contract that he saw where the Bengals could get out of it within like 3 years, and he was like, no. If you're signing me, you're signing me. There's no opt-outs for you.
Yeah. They got caught up in the chase.
Jamar Chase. So, yeah, I think that in order for them to really know what they're doing this offseason, they're going to have to pay Purdy pretty quickly.
I agree. Yeah. I
Yeah.
just don't know if it's going to – I could see it dragging out just because it's the Niners.
Yeah, but it's different when you have a quarterback. And when Jed York a year ago said, we're planning for this.
Yeah. Might want to walk those words back, though.
No doubt. No doubt.
But
But either way, he's going to get paid. So
yeah.
All right. We're looking at the Week 18 games. Let's not go through every single one because let's be honest, it was like a preseason week, a lot of rest. But I did find some moves interesting as far as rest.
Ooh.
Like the Commanders-Cowboys game. Do they not care about seating? Like at some point, like Jaden Daniels was sat, and I was like, so they're cool with losing this game? Like they rather play the Rams or whoever was on the table. And then the Packers game, I mean, this was just unfortunate. Christian Watson tears his ACL, and he's out for probably next year. And he was out for a little while prior to this. He didn't play in the Minnesota Viking game, but he came back because he wanted to. And yeah, he's going to be gone for the foreseeable future. So they're not going to have him for the playoffs. And Jordan Love hurt his elbow. It sounds like he could have come back in that game, but they chose to just keep him out. So they play with Malik Willis, and they lose that game. Had they won it, it really wouldn't have mattered because the Commanders won their game. But had the Commanders lost, then the Packers would have avoided playing the Eagles. So I don't know. I mean, I don't get any like if there's rhyme or reason to any of this stuff anymore. Like the Rams were fine, fall into the 4th seed. Now they have to play the Minnesota Vikings, which I think is a harder, game than playing the Commanders. If they played Matthew Stafford in that last game, they go with Jimmy Garoppolo. So I don't know. And then Josh Allen gets 1 snap, so he gets his consecutive start streak. And his stats are done, along with Lamar Jackson. I'll put this to bed right now. Josh Allen had a very good season, but you look at the stats, it's not comparable. Like Lamar Jackson by far had the better season.
Right.
And I know we hear like voter fatigue and everything. I'm not a big Lamar guy in the past. I thought that he had an unbelievable season this year. How could you say otherwise? So, yeah, I don't think it's even close. I think that who cares? Like some guys just don't win MVP. His day will come, hopefully. But yeah, you have to say Lamar Jackson's MVP right now.
Yeah, I don't really think there's any disputing that. I mean, we can go back and forth about, what the word valuable means, and, Derrick Henry being a 1,900-yard rusher again. And, but at the same token, like James Cook also led the league in touchdowns. He wasn't anywhere near in yards, but he accounted for a lot of the scoring for the Bills, who I think had their highest scoring season like ever. I think they scored like more touchdowns in a single year than they ever have before. But it seems hard to argue, especially with them playing, the full 17 games. So I don't really think it's much of an argument anymore. I was kind of on the Josh Allen train, but Lamar's just been unstoppable, man.
Yeah, I was with Josh Allen for a little bit of time, but now when you see like the final numbers, you're like, if any other quarterback had those stats, it wouldn't be a question. So yeah, we all want Josh Allen to win the award. I think that's what mainly it is like, God, Josh should get one of these. Lamar already has 2. Who cares? At the end of the day, if Josh Allen wins MVP of the Super Bowl, then so what? Like MVPs, regular season MVPs, they're nice. They're good for Hall of Fame stuff. But at the end of the day, like at this point, Josh Allen just wants to win a fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And so does Lamar.
13 more touchdowns and 2 fewer interceptions. That's all you got to know.
Yeah, I think Lamar deserves his 3rd MVP. The games that really mattered, the Buccaneers beat the Saints, and Mike Evans got his 1,000 yards to keep that streak alive. Ties Jerry Rice, which is a very cool record. I didn't have an issue with him getting in at the end of the game when the game was in hand. Doesn't matter.
I had an issue with the Saints playing defense the way they did.
Why is that?
Are you going to give him soft coverage? Come on, you're his division rival. What are you doing?
I don't think they were planning on him doing it.
Like you did against Calvin Johnson. Do that. You remember that?
Against Calvin Johnson?
Yeah, when they would put like 3 cornerbacks on him.
Yeah.
Should have done that on Mike Evans.
Yeah. Darren Rizzi was taking it easy on Calvin or Mike Evans there.
It's terrific. It was an awesome moment. I mean, I was locked in for sure. And he also had one of the most badass lines that I've ever heard in my life. Like he said this immediately without missing a beat, without skipping a beat, rather. He was, he talked about tying Jerry Rice and how cool it is for him and his family. And then he also got that $3 million bonus. And the reporter asked him, what are you going to do to celebrate? He said, y'all probably go to the casino, and go to the casino, take my family, watch some games, play a little blackjack. And the reporter's like, well, now the cat's out of the bag. You've let the fans know where you're at. He's like, they can't get into where I'm going. Badass, dude.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Little secret spot where Mike Evans going.
Yeah, loved it. But I was just like, come on, Saints. What are you doing here? Play hard defense. Or just whatever.
If Marshawn Lattimore was still there, he probably would have knocked that out of him.
That would have been amazing, huh?
Yeah. And then on the other side, the Buccaneers were losing for a little bit of time in that game. And the Falcons just had their struggles against the Panthers.
That was fun.
I mean, it was a fun game, and you see a lot of what the future is going to be with Bryce Young. I think the Panthers at the beginning of the season were like, shit, we don't know what we have in Bryce Young, and now you got to feel very confident about him going forward.
For sure,
he looks way better, and Michael Penix looks good too. But that defense for the Falcons, good Lord! Now, part of it was, did they see the final score that the Bucks won and they were like, fuck this, and just wanted to end the game. That's what I think.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, once they got to OT, did they try as much?
No.
But the Falcons defense did get to OT when that game was still in hand. So not a good performance by the Falcons this year. They were all confident that they were going to be the NFC South champions. Raheem Morris was talking about how, we want to get a bunch of coaches here because we know we're going to be good and guys are going to leave our staff. So we plan for the future in that. But it's like, looks bad now. And Kirk Cousins acquisition looks bad. So we'll see where they go from here. The Buccaneers keep doing what they do. They've won the division 4 straight years, and I still sleep on them every year, and I should stop because Baker Mayfield's getting the job done with them.
It's going to be really interesting when the Niners play them next year because they got the NFC South and they got the Panthers, Bucks, and Falcons all at home. It'll just be fascinating with Brock Purdy.
Not all at home.
Think so. Or no, not the Bucks.
No.
Sorry, just the Panthers and the Falcons, and actually they got the Bears too. Like watching those guys, and if say Brock Purdy isn't playing up to his standard, up to his contract, then you're going to be looking at Michael Penix. You're going to be looking at Bryce Young. You're going to be looking at Caleb Williams. If those guys are having good seasons, and you're like, man, what did this last overall pick thing make any sense? It's going to be a fascinating storyline, I think, going into next year.
Well, I mean, yeah, Steven. I mean, think about where they were. Like they had Trey Lance. They weren't confident in him, and they found a diamond in the rough with the last pick.
Yeah. It's just going to add to it. Like this year, there wasn't much of that. There wasn't much of, well, look at Brock Purdy compared to this guy, or look at this. You know what I mean? A lot of it was like focused solely on the Niners. It wasn't so much like comparing them to the other quarterbacks or to the opponents.
No, I'm with you on that one.
Otis Bird, 100%. I wonder if Steph will make an appearance for that Panthers-Niners game. Oh, hell yeah, he will. Best believe it.
And you best believe it's not going to be a nationally televised game. Like I would say maybe 2 nationally televised game at Levi's next season. The schedule is brutal.
Yeah, maybe Rams and Seahawks.
It would be a divisional matchup. Everything else is not sexy.
No, not at all.
Okay, lastly, the game of the day. Lions-Vikings. I thought this was going to be a shootout. I think everybody did. That's why the over-under was 56.5. The defensive game plan, I mean, we're talking about Ben Johnson getting a head coaching job. Aaron Glenn, that was beautiful. The way he was blitzing Sam Darnold every single play. And Alex Anzalone coming back made a difference. Amik Robertson and his coverage on Justin Jefferson was huge. That's the type of game you watch and you're like, damn. It could just be that the Lions go into Levi's, playing all their guys. That was the difference. That they didn't rest. They kept going. It wasn't like they were beating up on, the 49er team of a year ago, but they got their revenge, and then they came prepared. They had a fantastic game plan. Some of the fourth down decisions by Kevin O'Connell I thought were a little nuts, but Justin Jefferson was thrown off with his game. Sam Darnold, it was the worst performance of his season, 18 of 41. But I'm still confident in Sam Darnold at least winning a playoff game here. But yeah, I thought it was a great performance. Jahmyr Gibbs rushing for 4 touchdowns. The Vikings defense kept him in that game for a little bit of time. They were forcing pressure on Jared Goff. The 2 plays where he thought he was throwing a screen to Jahmyr Gibbs, but the guy tipped it up and picked him off. When he was in the end zone and he threw a deep pass to Jameson Williams, where that got picked off by Harrison Smith.
Right.
The Vikings almost got back into this game had Andrew Van Ginkel not dropped his 3rd pick 6 of the season. That would have changed the game. So I was very impressed with the Lions. And that's the type of victory where you're like, damn, they could probably just bludgeon teams when they come to Ford Field because they got the home crowd and everything. It's gonna feel like the '99 Rams all over again. However, Dan Campbell did say when he left the field, "We'll see you in 2 weeks," which we'll see what the Rams do with the Vikings. But I'll also say this: if they play each other again, I would not be the least bit surprised if it's different. If now Kevin O'Connell knows how to take care of those blitzers and those man-beating plays. So while it was a dominant performance on both sides of the football for the Lions, I'll be very interested to see what happens if the Vikings do end up playing the Lions again.
I think they were just more battle tested, man. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, because you're giving credit a lot, but to the Lions defense, but at the same time, Darnold didn't look good. Like, blitz or not, he's looked really good under pressure this year. And for whatever reason, him and Justin Jefferson just, even on plays where they were wide open, just not completing them. I mean, what is he? He averaged, I think, like 60% in the red zone. And in this game, I think he was like 22% converted in the red zone or something like that. The Lions defense was tremendous, but I also thought the Vikings kind of, laid an egg in this one on their own. I know you got to give the Lions credit for what they did, but I also think part of it was just how the Vikings didn't respond. And to me, it's just the Lions seemed to get up for this game, and the Vikings didn't. And that's where I'm kind of skeptical on the Vikings in the postseason. AJ Cruz brought something up a little while back with Lamar. Like, he ain't getting it done in the playoffs. I don't know if that's like a surefire thing, but I'm kind of leaning towards that because we haven't seen him we've seen him be an MVP, but we haven't seen him perform in the postseason. And the Vikings do strike me as a team that were terrific this regular season, but they might make just a couple of more mistakes to where it loses them the game, and they're just one and done, and they got to go home. Like, I could see that happen.
Yeah. No, that very well could be the case because they don't have much experience in the postseason. Like, they had that game against the Giants a couple of years ago, but they lost that one.
Yeah, that looked bad.
And Sam Darnold doesn't have any playoff experience. Now that I think about it, no, he has zero. He never started a playoff game. So
no, they're kind of like where the Lions were last year, except the Lions, obviously they reached the NFC Championship which the Vikings very well could. But
they had home games.
But what did them in with the Lions too was they just weren't ready for the 49ers relentlessness in the second half.
Yeah.
So I could see the Vikings on a similar path there too. So I don't know. I think that kind of showed why I'm not as confident with Darnold and the Vikings going into this postseason, and why we're not fully confident in the NFC teams, because they're supposed to be the second best, and they just looked kind of pedestrian against a much better team.
Well, I will say the team that I've lost faith in a lot is the Steelers. I mean, talk about their Saturday games. Let's back up a little bit. The earlier game, the Ravens just beat up on the Browns, and that was just a terrible, like, Bailey Zappi throwing in the wind, and it was just awful. But Zay Flowers getting hurt, that's significant. That is a huge deal. And it sounds like he will not be able to play in this wildcard weekend game. So while the Steelers have looked bad, I mean real bad offensively, the Steelers defense has always gotten to Lamar. And I'm sure the Ravens weren't happy about that matchup. So I could see the Steelers going in there and win, but they got to do a hell of a lot more offensively. Like, the defense did a pretty good job against Joe Burrow, holding them to 19 points. But man, George Pickens, dude, if you're going to be this demonstrative diva wide receiver and you can't catch the fucking football, then they're going to trade your ass. Like, that was a horrible performance by him. And Russell Wilson hasn't looked great either lately. So I'm not confident in the Steelers, but I could also see them going into Baltimore and beating them just because of the Zay Flower injury and their familiarity with Pittsburgh. But as far as the playoff matchups, pretty good. You got the Chargers playing the Texans. You got the Steelers playing the Ravens. Bills playing the Broncos in Buffalo. Packers playing the Eagles. And while the Packers have their injury problems right now, I'm not going to freak out just yet because it's earlier in the week. But the fact that Jalen Hurts hasn't passed concussion protocol yet is pretty alarming. So we'll see if he's good to go for Sunday. And then the Sunday night game, you got Commanders, Buccaneers. And then Monday night, you got a rematch of earlier this year when the Vikings did lose to the Rams. Kevin O'Connell versus Sean McVay again.
Yeah. That Eagles one is concerning. Speaking of, did you see AJ Brown on the sideline? Like, that dude had to have been off an edible or something like that.
Yeah.
He was just, dude, he was just on the bench, just at the very edge. He wasn't napping. People thought he was napping, but his eyes were just, You could tell like that man was having himself a little bit of fun.
Yeah, he was doing a
Yeah.
Klay Thompson with his towel over his head.
Dude, you're not playing. I mean, I don't blame anyone. I mean, we know what relievers do in the bullpen. Some baseball games, it can get pretty boring throughout the baseball season. Some guys might have themselves a little bit of fun while they're sitting there in the outfield if they know they're not going to get into a game. I think that was kind of what AJ Brown was feeling, and AJ Brown just so happened to be a baseball player once back in the day.
Interesting.
There's no connection there. There's no connection. To
Just
that.
pure speculation on your
Well,
part.
he used to be a baseball player, so he definitely took an edible before that. No, not like that. But
Is that a common thing with outfielders? They're wearing or baseball players. They take edibles when they're.
I think with bullpen guys, yeah,
Really.
or with pitchers,
I guess that would make sense.
yeah. If it's not their day, get a little break.
Well, I know some pitchers take LSD,
What?
and then
Doc Ellis?
and then they get called up to pitch that day, and it turns into a whole thing.
Is there someone besides Doc Ellis that you
No,
have?
just Doc Ellis. Although,
Oh, okay.
remember there was like a rumor that Ice Cube was going to play him in a movie about that, and then I mean, obviously that's too late now. Could probably maybe get O'Shea Jackson Jr.
There needs to be a movie about Bill Spaceman Lee.
Bill Spaceman Lee. Who's that again?
You never heard of Bill Spaceman Lee?
I probably have. It's just not
You have
coming
to
to
say
my
the full
my
name.
mind right now.
He's a retired. He used to pitch for the Red Sox, and he's nicknamed the Spaceman because he was a very psychedelic fella.
Oh,
Oh, there's been a bunch. Okay, so there's been like documentaries. He's co-written a few books. God, this is there. It seems like, all right. You know what? Someone call up Chalamet. Someone call Timothy. Next up,
Timothy Chalamet.
your Bill Spaceman Lee.
Dibbidi-do.
Shabba-da-da-do.
Dibbidi-dow-yow. Oh, I was gonna bring this up before we get out of here. Jonathan Kuminga not going to play for 3 weeks, which is convenient because the trade deadline's right around then. And a little bit after you and I got done, or maybe it was maybe we did mention this, but Jimmy Butler, Anthony Slater had their report that it sounds like the Warriors have no interest in going after him. So now you got a decision to make. Do you see what you got for the next 3 weeks? If you win without Kuminga, maybe you're inclined to keep him. Maybe you're inclined to trade him. I really don't know. I think any trade you would make at this point would have to include Kuminga, whether it's Vucevic or whether it's Cam Johnson. I don't know. I think that any of those teams, Chicago or Brooklyn, would want Jonathan Kuminga because you need something to grow their teams up. So I think the Warriors are up shit's creek at this moment. Like, they're not a very good team. They're mid, as Steph Curry said. He mentioned last night when they lost by 30 to the Kings, we're not a team that could come back from large deficits. So he's just throwing like little shades at Mike Dunleavy, being like, this team's not good. So you need to help me out here.
Yeah.
But how does he help him out?
Glaring to me. That was thinly veiled, if I've ever heard one.
Yes. So
Like,
at this point, though, but like everyone's talking about how much they love Kuminga. Draymond loves Kuminga. Steph loves Kuminga. Joe Lacob loves Kuminga. I don't know if Steve Kerr loves Kuminga. I think it's pretty clear that Joe wants us to keep going with Jonathan Kuminga, and Steve Kerr's like, I've seen what I've seen in this guy. But I don't know. Like, if you don't trade Kuminga and he comes back and he looks bad off of that bum ankle, are you going to give him the contract extension? Is it all for naught? I have no idea what the fuck they do, man.
This injury could not have come at a worse time.
Yes.
It could not have come at a worse time. This was like the evaluation stage. All right, this is crunch time. Do we pay him or do we trade him? What do we do? We can't let him walk. You can't let him walk. That would be the worst thing. Is just rejecting him from a contract, not trading him, and then letting him go for nothing. You can't have that happen. Like, I don't care what side you're on. If you're on the side you should have kept him, that's fine. But if you feel like you got to let him go, it can only be via trade. You can't release a guy like Jonathan Kuminga. The Steph thing, yeah, that was bad. When he just like, I'm glad Anthony Slater actually asked a follow up. That's what got me about the Raiders press conference today. They really didn't ask many follow ups after the first two questions.
Yeah, I know that bothered me too. Where it's like, it's clear that Antonio Pierce is like, I haven't been told shit, and almost like, okay, it is what it is. Then
it's like you haven't had any conversations like at all. the past
Yeah.
couple of weeks. No one followed up. I was really perturbed. But
Yeah, the perfect question would have been, have you talked to Mark Davis in the last few weeks about your future? And that would have been a perfect question to ask. But
so,
regardless.
but Slater followed up like almost in disbelief. Wait a second. Wait, did you just say you guys can't come back from a big deficit anymore? Like, what do you mean by that? And like, I think Steph, who's normally pretty careful with his words, I think he kind of knew he screwed up a little bit. I think he knew he slipped.
Oh, that's him saying, I miss my backcourt mate. I'm missing a guy that can shoot threes with me. And let's
Yeah.
be honest, Dennis Schroeder has not looked good at all.
No.
Like he's had a few good performances, 15 points, 17 points. But besides that,
But what were we expecting, really? Like, has he really been this? He's never been a 30-point per game guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or even 25 points. Has he?
well, I know he hasn't, but like that's the thing. Like, what does he do that makes us think that he's going to fit in this Warriors offense?
He was
He's been
supposed to
more of
be
an
getting a true number one. He was going to be like a younger Chris Paul. I thought was the thought process behind trading for him.
then if you're getting a Chris Paul, like I was bringing this up today, like I don't know, like he doesn't play well with Steph.
Yeah.
And that was the whole point of this. And like Draymond acknowledging when they traded for him was we need to basically acclimate to what Dennis Schroeder does. And I'm like, no, you don't. That's why we're all going to change because of Dennis Schroeder. Like, please, Dennis Schroeder has to move the ball. That's why the day that Steve Kerr called out the young guys for taking contested shots and not passing it to Steph, I'm like, that applies to Dennis Schroeder too.
Yeah.
Like right now, Draymond Green is shooting threes better than Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah.
So like he would be better. Like if Brandon Pajemski is healthy tomorrow, I would debate whether or not you should bring Dennis Schroeder off the bench and just go back to Paz. And I know he's not shooting well, but I don't know, just not flowing it. Like it just, I don't know. I'm at a loss with the Warriors right now. I know everybody wants to maximize the final years of Steph Curry, but I don't know what you do. I really don't know what you do.
Trade Steph. So Draymond Green been a little bit of trouble past couple of games, getting a lot of technicals, but
Yeah.
this just exchange with Slater. I think this was actually after the Grizzlies game. It made me laugh.
What do you think of his skill set?
Oh, he's playing NBA.
He good?
He's playing
He's talking about Zach Edey.
NBA. You think he good?
Solid.
Respect. There it is.
Explanation on what the flagrant foul was for.
No. But it's Draymond Green. That's why it's a flagrant foul. It's funny. You know what was ironic? I said J.K. clean elbow to the head. Boom. I said, wow, that's a review. I said, if I blow on someone, y'all review it. There you have it.
Looked like you were saying surprise.
Who's surprised?
It was a sarcastic.
I got a text for saying boom. Say boom every time I make it through.
You do.
I got a text for saying
Did-
boom.
Do you think the ref did it because it was like towards him or what?
Fuck, I got to run back on defense. So, again, boom. And when did they become so above the law that you can't say boom?
Think that one might get rescinded.
Oh, hold my breath. I'll die.
Must
Boy.
be a big fan of those Costco guys.
Yeah, you stole the joke right out of my mouth.
5 big booms, dude. I saw a video. I don't know if this was like a long time ago or if this was recent, but those two guys were the AJ and Big Justice, Big AJ and Big Justice. They
I
were
don't care about
sitting
those
down
guys anymore, Steven.
and they were answering questions, Derek. And someone said like their brother passed away, and you guys have been getting me through.
Yeah, no, I heard about this.
And they said,
Do you
well,
want
in
to give you some booms?
honor of your dead brother, he gets 5 big boobs. Go,
Oh
boom,
my god,
boom, boom.
the fucking clowns.
Oh man, but yeah, that was one of my favorite exchanges. Like, I don't care what anyone thinks of Draymond, whether they think he's full of himself, whether they think he's egotistical, or whether they think the refs are out to get him. But that to me was a really funny exchange.
No, it was definitely was.
Hold my breath, I'll die.
Yeah, it's clever. Speaking of honest press conferences. Do you have Tyreek Hill for a second?
Oh God. Yeah, hang on.
This
oh,
was crazy.
yeah, it was out of nowhere, really.
I
Although,
mean,
if anyone really paid attention, I guess a lot of people who did all kind of said like this is not much of a surprise.
it's not, because I heard rumors all year that Dolphins may move on, but like something's going on in Miami lately. Like Jimmy Butler was as honest as he was in his press conference, saying he can't find joy with the Miami Heat anymore. And this just turned incredibly awkward when Tyreek Hill's asked about his future with the Dolphins.
What's the deal with that?
Yeah, man. So all season I've been dealing with, a little issue, and so
Was it the left wrist that?
right, so coach kind of pulled me out.
How would you describe this season for you now that it is over?
Oh, season was great, man. I had my daughter, so that's a plus for me. I'm happy. I'm blessed, man.
When you say coach,
It's not part of the
pulled you out,
season.
Mike McDaniel pulled you out because your wrist was injured.
Just one of those issues, man. That like, when you look up at the scoreboard, Chiefs are, down, and it's like, okay, so.
How do you feel about not getting to 1,000 yards?
So
I mean, it is what it is, man. It's life, man.
so
I feel like at the end of the day, there's a lot of things that, I need to reassess, about, my career and, just see what I need to do, to continue to get better, as a player. So I can continue to like reach that 1,000-yard mark. So it is what it is.
What do you think is the biggest reason the team finished 8 and 9?
I would say for me, man, as a captain, it was a tough season, man. It sucks, man, missing QB1, man. It really hurts a lot, man. Not having him, but Snoop did a great job of filling in whenever he learned the offense, getting us going. But
we'll just roll with it.
whenever you're missing, your franchise player, man, it kind of sucks. So.
As a captain, what is the message you have to these guys in the offseason? You won't feel this at the end of the season.
I don't even know, bro. This is my first time. I haven't been in the playoffs, man. So, I mean, for me, like I said, man, I just got to do what's best for me and my family, dog. If that's here, if that's wherever the case may be, man, I'm finna open that door for myself, dog. As I'm opening the door, like I'm out, bro. So it was great playing here, but at the end of the day, bro, I got to do what's best for for my career and what's best, because I'm too much of a competitor to be just out there.
Mean you thinking about leaving here?
If it is, hey, yeah.
Sometimes it's best not to say anything at all. Could have just said, yeah, we got to improve on next season. But that was way too honest.
I'm out, bro. So it was great playing here, but at the end of the day, bro, I got to do what's best for for my career and what's best.
It's like swirling.
I'm too much of a competitor to be
downward.
Does that mean
just out there.
Mean you thinking about leaving here?
If it is, hey,
Dude, I'm just going, hey, yes.
What is he, Alex Scott? dude, that's like if you want to get out of like a party.
Yeah.
Or if you just want to leave somewhere, anywhere.
If it is, hey,
Yeah.
It's like Guru at a work event.
I'm out, bro.
I'm out. Tell everyone I'm in the bathroom.
Yeah. Well, that's one way to end your time. And then he goes on to change his profile picture to superimpose his head on Antonio Brown's body when he left the Buccaneers. So, I mean, shit. Like, Tyreek Hill will probably get traded. A team will probably go after him this offseason. He's got 1 year left on his deal.
He's going.
What's up?
He's going to the Chiefs, isn't he?
Back to the Chiefs?
He's going to the Chiefs.
He could.
Oh, he's going to the Chiefs.
He could. He could.
Yeah.
And wouldn't that just be like after they trade him and get a bounty of picks, and in the end he wants to come back to him. Now, I could see another team being in play for him. Now, the Chiefs would make sense. But I could see other teams too.
Oh.
But yeah, that's not a I don't know. Like he could have handled that way better than that. That's
well,
a
the
fucking
Antonio
bad look.
Brown thing's a choice.
Yeah, well, you know what? The funny thing is, even when he got traded to the Dolphins, I remember him like doing a podcast interview where he was like, I never wanted to go to the Dolphins in the first place. I want to go to Cleveland. It's like, well, why would you say that now? I don't think he wants to go to Cleveland now.
I don't remember that.
By the way, Deshaun Watson, I guess a setback in his Achilles, treatment, and I know everyone's upset about that. You won't see him anytime soon.
Wow, unfazed. Tyreek wants Viking hose.
Yeah, this guy's all over the place.
Okay, yeah, a little bit. Man, you know what though?
Got to make that puss make sense.
You know what? Name checks out. Just unfazed.
He's unfazed, baby.
Yeah.
All right, Steven. Anything else for tonight?
I got nothing.
All right, then. We will see you guys on Thursday. We will be on, I believe. Yeah, let's do let's see. I'm done at 4:30. What a nice 6 o'clock show, Steven.
When? Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could do that.
All right, let's do that. We might be on during. We might be on during Penn State, Notre Dame, but we'll have that on the background. And everyone cares about Texas, Ohio State more, and I'll miss that game because I'll be on the air. Couldn't take that game, Holder, bastard. Anyway. All right, guys. That's our I have a good relationship with my PD. I call him a bastard on the air. All right, guys. That is going to do it for tonight. Thanks for joining us on a Monday. If we hear anything with Antonio Pierce, we may come back on tomorrow. And I was convinced by these Raider fans that he's coming back now, which I'm not too thrilled about. But anyway, thanks to everybody in the chat tonight. We got a lot of new people. Rookie QB season. Kyler. Who are the other guys? Pigs 76. Who else was the other guy? Where's the flag? Derek M. Fake Derek Papa. 7702 Gambler. Ernie 1, Ernie 2, AJ Cruz. Skills Report. Techie for a little bit of time. And Otis Bird is the word. Thank you guys for always joining us. We'll see you guys on Thursday. Steven, say what we always say.
Don't forget unfazed.
Oh, yeah, unfazed. Sorry.
Unfazed. It's just our opinion, man.